Hello, yes. Thank you very much, and welcome everybody. Good morning. I think we hopefully have got a very interesting panel this morning. And just before I let the panelists introduce themselves, I will just introduce myself. Craig Moore, I'm the founder and CEO of Beehive. Beehive was one of the earliest fintechs in the region. We launched in 2014, licensed, one of the first fintechs licensed back in 2017, and we're a digital lending platform for SMEs across the region. Okay, I will ask the panelists from my left just to introduce themselves for 30 seconds, and then we will jump straight into the panel.
Thank you, Greg. Hi, my name is Tatiana Rahal. I'm the VP of Commercial at Tarabut. My expertise is in scaling tech companies. My previous role was at Tarabut, actually, where I initially launched the Oman market and I grew it. Then I moved to the UAE market, where it was more of a turnaround. And today at Tarabut, which is a leading financial tech company in the region, what we do is we promote financial inclusion and we help serve the underserved by providing a couple of our products. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Martina, Habib. I'm spearheading the commercial department at Astra. So Astra in a nutshell is the parent company of Bottom, everybody's app. Payby, which is a financial institution that has SVF and RPS licenses from the central bank, and Quantix, which is a micro-lending entity promoted under a brand called Cash Now. And I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me here. I'm very happy to join this panel discussion. This is Stephen Wei from Hong Kong Polytechnic University. I'm in charge of the program we call Dr. FinTech program. And this is why I'm here today. Let me give you a few more words about our program at our university. So this Dr. FinTech program is not the PhD program. Actually, it's a professional doctor program. It's like the DBA type of a program. And we train scholar leaders from the whole world. So I will give you more very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, very nice to be here. Amith, I run Wholesale Digital for Mashreq, as well as head our new corporate venture capital company called NeoVentures. We have been participating in the DFS for the last 3 years. We are active participants in the ecosystem. I've been here for about 5 years. Before that, I was in Singapore for 10 years with Standard Chartered. Before that, I was in New York. So pretty much 25 years in the industry, 50% in the banking business, as well as 50% in technology. So nice to be here.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, so let's kick things off. Let's look at a theme, I guess, that's at the core of innovation in the region, and that's the evolving relationship between traditional banks and fintechs. So if I can ask you, Tatiana, first of all, from your perspective, when we're leading fast-scaling growth fintech platforms, what are some of the key takeaways you believe where fintechs are maybe redefining customer expectations or solving problems that banks haven't been able to address effectively?
Thank you for the question. So if we look today at the ecosystem, and before it was fintechs versus banks, and as you said, now it's fintechs working with banks, and we're kind of working together and supporting each other. I would say from a fintech perspective, usually the advantage we have is we're agile. We're tech first. By being tech first, it means we can deliver directly a product within a couple of weeks. We can launch it to the market, go into distribution, test, fail, and say, you know what, it doesn't work. So one thing I would say that where we're really adding value is embedding today the lending journey into the customer journey. So today as a customer, rather than going on, if you're already on your e-commerce site, rather than going to the bank and seeing if you can get credit, is embedding financing at that point in time. And we're doing that like with instant financing, for example, in Bahrain, where we're leveraging banks' APIs today to get instant financing on luxury items. And that's extremely cool, where like on the spot, you're like, I like this Chanel bag, I want it. And you're like, okay, you can get access to credit and you can buy it. Yeah. Another thing is also enabling the banks when it comes to some very strong technical, like from open banking perspective. So on that perspective, it's also leveraging the fact that we're doing it with multiple banks and the fact that we are we don't have to really adhere to our systems. Like we don't have like old systems that we need to adhere with, or like legacy systems that we need to adhere with, and working with bank on helping them comply. One of the example is in KSA, we're able to launch one of the fastest actually compliance, PIS compliance that happens, and it happened in 3 months with one of our banks.
Okay,
So.
interesting. And I think, Martina, from your side, obviously, as Astra Tech, you have a number of business units. So I'm sure part of that is how do you effectively bring them together continuously on the journey. But how do you see the evolution in terms of customer expectations and how Astra Tech are trying to address those?
Sorry, I come from banking background, so I've been there. And I believe that banks often struggle with user experiences, not adopting a very flexible mindset when it comes to risk culture. At FinTechs, we are, trial and error is part of our DNA. So we experiment, as you said, we improve as we go, and then we learn very fast. Then we replicate. We solve a specific customer pain point, and we do meet our users where they already are, platforms, applications. So there is some sort of interaction that we always have with our customer base that gives us the understanding of what should be the next launch. This is what I always say, is that we do not launch services, we launch accesses. So under Astra Tech, you do have a couple of divisions: lending, remittance, bill payments, wallet transfers, and peer-to-peer. Combining all of this under one umbrella is giving us an edge over others in the UAE market. And I think it's brilliant, because whatever that we're doing with AI help and the machine learning help could actually make us thrive, right, as we go.
Okay, so just to follow up on that, in terms of Astra Tech in particular, how do partnerships with banks fit into your growth strategy, if at all?
Yeah. So I'm really grateful to announce that during Dubai FinTech Summit, we are signing 2 MOUs with 2 leading banks in the UAE.
I didn't actually know that.
You didn't know. One is with Wayu Bank, and the other is with Al Maria Bank, where we co-petition is the new word, where competition and collaboration coexist together to drive innovation. So they're using our tech capabilities, we're using their strength and scale and regulatory expertise, and we're coming out with something innovative.
Okay, interesting. Right, let me come to Amith, and let's flip the lens for a moment. So we've heard how fintechs are positioning themselves, continuing to grow. I know you wear multiple hats in Mashreq, but from a bank's point of view, what's it like being on the other side of the equation? Are fintech partners, challengers, something else entirely? Where do they fit? And where do they fit for moving the needle for you, right? So I'm not talking about incubator type things where the banks are just kicking the tires of fintechs, but where do they fit in terms of actually scaling with fintech solutions and taking the fintechs along with you?
Yeah, so as a bank, we've been partnering with fintechs for quite a while now, so it's not new for us. And as a bank, in fact, I like to run my shop. I tell the guys we should operate like a fintech. So I think Mashreq, we've been doing this for a while now. If you look at our retail platforms, about maybe half of them are powered by fintechs. So we partner with fintechs from Singapore, from the US, from the region, and their products we sort of bring onto our platforms and give them access to our customers, mainly because for 2 reasons. One is that we don't think we've got the best or the right answer all the time. And the second is that we want to partner with those guys who give us an edge, either in terms of time, in terms of technology, in terms of customer experience. So I think it's definitely, like you guys said, it's not a competition. I don't think it's ever been. So when I first started, the mantra was that fintechs are going to eat banks' lunch. Didn't really happen. So banks aren't sitting still either. So I think the best way forward would be to work together. So banks provide the trust, banks provide the regulatory cover, banks provide the scale and access to customers. fintechs provide the fail fast mentality, the disruption, the technology. So we look at fintechs as force multipliers for us.
Okay. Okay, so let me just dig down a little deeper on that. In terms of, I hear a lot of banks will work with fintechs, etc. And you just talked about fintechs that might be in Singapore or they may be in US. Is it the technology that fintechs bring, or is it the operating ability? Because the operating ability would be partnering with local fintechs who understand the local landscape versus almost tech fins where you can pick up a software solution out of the US or out of Singapore and then implement it into, additional to your core banking systems. Which is more important for you as a bank currently?
I think both. So you can't really separate the two. So like I said, we've partnered with fintechs for mostly their platforms, capabilities. But we've also partnered and invested in fintechs in the region where we've sort of piggybacked and worked together with both the technology and the operating model. So we've got Cashew, NeoPay, Nimcard. So a few companies that we're partnering with here who we're doing both. So I don't think you can separate the two that cleanly. It depends on a case-by-case basis. But as far as we are concerned, we're open for both.
Okay. And finally, your board or your senior management, do they expect you to think like a fintech now from a speed perspective? Or are they still optimistically cautious in how you move projects forward?
Oh no, we're very much a bank that wants everything done as of yesterday. So from board down, chairman downwards, everybody is, we're in a phase where we are hyper-growing as well. So we have ambitions to grow significantly both on the retail and corporate front. We've seen that kind of growth over the last few years as well. So, and as a bank, whether it is AI, you can't get through a question without AI coming up. So,
we'll get there. It's coming.
Don't worry. Whether it is AI, whether it is new operating models, whether it is digitizing. So, from a digital transformation point of view, we're not just taking a paper process and making it digital. We're actually re-engineering the process. Whether it's our onboarding for corporates, whether it's our new platforms that have come. So, everywhere in the bank, everybody is encouraged to think like a fintech, and everybody is operating, all guns blazing.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's talk about something at the heart of innovation and execution, and that's talent, right? And I think, we've been operating now for 10 years plus in the market. One of the challenges that we always have is talent, right? And I think that's something I hear consistently from other fintechs. So we're all very, very conscious now about AI and the acceleration of AI. And I want to come to you, Dr. Stephen, to understand not only how AI is shaping, but if we're starting to look at the talent entering the market, entering the workplace, how do they use AI to make sure that they aren't replaced by AI and they actually get an opportunity to enter into the market? Because let's face it, a lot of people use AI for the grudge work, the simple stuff, the repetitive stuff, but that's actually what most people do when they're 22, 23, 24 years old in the working environment.
Thank you. So this is a very good and critical question, I think, at this time. So you guys just talk about AI in banking. I think AI in banking definitely will be part of the future of banking, right? So no matter you are talking about fintech in banking or open banking, all these things are necessary to embed AI into it, right? So beside this, I guess now for talents, this will be closely related to our universities. And a few years ago, I think 6 or 7 years ago, Hong Kong Polytechnic University studied a new program that we call Doctor of FinTech. It's not a PhD type of program. This program is like a professional doctor program. So we recruit the CEOs or C-level or senior level managers and to study FinTech. And the purpose is to change or to get the transformation for financial industry into FinTech.
A mindset shift.
Right. So actually, quite a number of years ago, Hong Kong Monetary Authority proposed the FinTech 2025 strategy. and is trying to change the whole Hong Kong financial industry into fintech by 2025. And now we are already reached 2025. Then they try to change the idea into 2030. So they try to get some new high. From our university point of view, our purpose is to help or to integrate all the talents into the financial industry. So we recruit the top managers in finance and also in relevant industries. And normally we require the applicants to have at least 5 years experience, to have a master degrees, and to have some senior level positions. So every year we recruit about 20 students from the whole world. And apparently we recruited more people from somewhere around Hong Kong. Now we wish to expand our program more internationally. So this is why I came here and to invite more people to join this program. If you really have any passion or idea about joining this program or knowing this program, just let's connect.
Okay.
Yeah, we also have a booth here at the GG for Grow G10, so you can contact the booth and then you get more detailed information. By the way, give me 1 more minute. And we also just started.
Whoa. Let's come back to that a second. I feel like it's an advert. Right. Okay. So let's just bring this into the corporate world as well, right? So let's look at the relevance. So Tatiana, Martina, Amith, I'm not necessarily going to keep coming to you. So why don't you just give us a view about AI, but as it relates to sourcing, training, retraining talent, and quite frankly, how do you see it maybe flattening some of your recruitment growths or increasing some of your recruitment growths?
Yeah. I do think like AI today is inevitable, right? It's like using a computer. You cannot just avoid it. And we need to integrate it in the business. And part of being a fintech and being agile and failing fast is integrating all of that. So once you start recruiting, you expect the new talent to leverage AI. Like today when I'm sending case studies, I literally expect them to leverage some AI tool to create their presentation, to do some of the analytics, to come back with products.
And faster than they normally would do.
Exactly, because however, where the challenge comes is today you definitely need people to leverage the AI tool, and with people who already did the grunt of the work and they grew in the organization, they can leverage the tool and challenge the tool. Because AI is as good as the data or the model it was kind of built on. What we're seeing today with new graduates, what I'm seeing and observing, is sometimes you just take it and put it. There's this lack of, but you need to question, you need to ensure that it works. And this is where the question comes of how much reliance on AI, but how much do you train the person internally so they build the skill set? Because today a coder can go on AI and just acquire a code, but you need to review it. If you're a good coder, that will accelerate your work and your efficiency. If you're actually a junior, you don't even know if there's going to be errors. And it's just having this balance of how much do you actually push still people to do some of this grunt work so they can actually learn on the job, some of it, because you need to have this keen eye to the attention to detail to be able to challenge the tool. So.
Okay. What would you say, Martina?
There is a gap in the market, I believe. I don't think that I have really hired someone that has an AI and machine learning talent apart from being theoretical, like hands-on experience. And I'll go back to the companies and I'll directly address that every single company does have a key critical role when it comes to not only like hiring the right talent, but also investing in their existing employees and the high quality talents that they already have. Apart from that, and I'll think wider, when it comes to the new generation, I feel like AI is becoming a core of their educational materials. And they're becoming very fluent with these technologies. So us as companies, we have to be open-minded enough to welcome new talents to our companies. It doesn't have to be really, background in payments and financial companies to be able to get hired. Apart from that, I think governments also are a key part when it comes to this innovative transformation of AI. With the UAE standing out as an early incubator when it comes to actively integrating AI education into schools. At Astra, and my team is here, they can tell you that we are really keen to educate and embrace this environment of continuous education when it comes to AI and machine learning.
Okay, and Amith, in the bank?
Yeah, so for the bank, given the fact that we're heavily regulated, for us, AI is always about augmented intelligence. So we always have the human in the loop yet. Now, when I started recruiting and when you're looking for data scientists, when I would talk to the data scientists, I would always say, what's the difference between a good data scientist and a great data scientist, right? A good data scientist is someone, I'm expecting all of them would have the mathematical, statistical, modeling, coding background. But the really good ones understand what they're doing and understand the business and understand why they're doing something. So I keep telling the guys, it's fine if you know how to write a model, but try and understand what is expected of them and try and understand, and like she said, the data makes the difference. So people underestimate how important it is to actually get the data in shape. And people underestimate how much difference it makes from an adoption point of view to be able to actually challenge your models. Often what happens, especially in terms of adoption, is that you come with something that comes out of a model, you show it to the customers, and if it's not good quality, you lose them immediately. Nobody has the patience to go back and correct. So the important thing is that, for people coming into the industry, they need to really look beyond just the coding skills and try to understand the business sense and what is expected to be able to actually deliver.
Yeah, I think that's really quite interesting, is the fact that people have to know how they use a lot of the tools, when they use the tools. Because I remember being told very early in my career that people that know how to do something will always work for people that know why you do something. Right? So the why is still very, very important.
One of the things that we are very keen on doing is actually upskilling people.
Yes.
So you have a lot of people today who understand the sector, understand the industry really well. And for them to upskill themselves, actually they become very effective very quickly. To Tatiana's point, where if there's an experienced coder, you give them something out of an AI tool, they'll be able to get to the bottom of it very quickly. They'll be able to see whether it's worth looking at much faster than someone who's coming in cold.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'm sure we could talk about AI all day and how it's advancing. I think it's probably going to be like most technologies. We almost overestimate what it will do in the short term, but probably underestimate what it will do in the long term. So I'm sure the next few years are going to bring leaps and bounds in that area. Something you just mentioned before, Amith, which you touched on, regulations. Yeah. So obviously, for regulators, it's about balancing the innovation that it allows in its purview with compliance. Right? And the UAE has positioned itself very well as a fintech powerhouse, let's face it. And it's led the way in a lot of digital transformation, financial inclusion, with initiatives, obviously the central bank in the fintech office, and the regulatory sandboxes, and innovation hubs and DIFC. What are you seeing? If I come to Martina, what are you seeing in terms of the innovation, particularly because you go across a number of areas? Are you seeing greater convergence? Can you see challenges ahead? Or do you feel that the regulation is moving exactly the direction at exactly the speed it needs to do?
From what I can see in the UAE market today is that the UAE is becoming like a global hub for fintechs. We've been seeing initiatives from the CBUEE, ADDGM, and DIFC that is continuously diversing and evolving the regulation based on the market norm. So what we do is that we engage early with the regulator. We give them our plans. It's not like before. You go and you just try to get the licenses and you submit the documentations and you get it or you don't get it. So nowadays we are very close when it comes to engagement with regulatory bodies, either central bank or DIFC or DGM, and we show them our plans and we take their expertise. And if it shows something, it shows that there is a complete shift in the mindset of fintechs as we speak today, that it's not becoming, like of course it's a regulator, but it's becoming a more of an advisory firms to fintechs in the UAE.
Okay, interesting.
I'll actually add to that. I do believe there's such a close, like, to add to what Martina said, it's an excellent point. Today in the UAE, there's a lot of give and take with the regulator. And you see it, they're actually leapfrogging. In certain instances, they're leapfrogging into technology. For example, open banking. They didn't go to open banking. They went to open finance. There's only one country globally who's in open finance, which is Brazil. And the UAE is aiming to achieve that by next year. So they're really like leapfrogging into industries. And actually, they're not really acting as a blocker, but rather they're helping as a structural enabler. And we see it not just in the UAE, for example, in Bahrain. When it comes to open banking, the central bank did a partnership with Benefit Pay and Tarabut, and what it allowed actually today a user to leverage the wallet, which is Benefit Pay, and you have 90% users almost of Benefit Pay in Bahrain, to just leverage that wallet to get open banking access. And it skyrocketed the usage of open banking today, just because it's a one-click thing. You gave the consent, now you can do recurrent payment, you can get access to your balance. So there's a lot of work that's happening across the region, even in SAMA, like in KSA. Right now we're working with SAMA, and they just gave us, for example, an approval for credit increase. And what happened is Amex in KSA had the first case of allowing a user to go on their app, request for an increase in their credit card limit, and approved. And that's the first case, like globally, right? So I do think that regionally, because it's also they are newer government in a sense, right? They're really leapfrogging into technology, leapfrogging into enabling the fintech industry.
Okay, and Amith, from the banking side, and I know this affects all operating fintechs, but one of the challenges, if not technically, but certainly probably financially, is KYC, AML, that a lot of the fintechs and the banks have to incur as part of their day-to-day operations. What do you see happening in the next kind of 12 months in this region around that area to try to maybe streamline or reduce some of the costs, or maybe new entrants into the fintech space so they don't have to build up large kind of compliance departments?
Yeah, so to echo their point, I think the regulators in the region definitely leapfrogging the others globally. So the idea is not to really play catch up with the rest of the world. They're actually trying to lead the rest of the world. I think the three areas I would really think about would be open finance, digital assets, and AI, where they're really pushing the boundaries and encouraging the companies to go beyond what's happening in the rest of the world, which is very encouraging for us. In terms of the KYC, onboarding, AML piece, it's a pain point for everyone. We've worked a lot in the bank to try and reduce that pain, but you ask any customer what is the most painful part of dealing with the bank, it's probably their onboarding and KYC journeys. And a lot of it is driven through the regulations. Till very recently, you actually needed vetting signatures. You couldn't actually get digital signatures. Now that is relaxed a bit. So we announced the electronic facial recognition for large corporates. We're the only one in the region. So, and that's picking up speed, right? So KYC, the central bank has just announced that they want to build a KYC hub for SMEs, which I think will really help, because then, to your point, not everybody has to have these individual KYCs. Now, the details have to be worked out. Whose liability is it going to be? Who's responsible for keeping all the documentation, etc., etc. All of that needs to be worked out, but at least it's moving in the right direction. As far as we are concerned, we feel that using all the best technologies in the market right now, the AI, the agentic AI, the Gen AI technologies, that allows us to really reduce the amount of friction that is there in these journeys. So we're doing a lot of work, and we are incubating ventures that are doing work in this space, because it's really not moving at pace with what the rest of the market is doing. So look forward in the next 12 months, I believe, both from the central bank's point of view and from the bank's point of view, you'll see a lot more of this coming through. Because you've seen a lot of sort of 2024 was the year of POCs. Everybody did a whole bunch of POCs, and I think 25, especially where AI, Gen AI is concerned, you'll start seeing the rubber hitting the road a lot more. Maybe towards the second half of the year, you'll start seeing some of these come online.
Okay, great. Dr. Stephen, I think if we just kind of take a view and come outside of the MENA region, you mentioned, I think Hong Kong obviously has got a huge push in its fintech space, and it's been establishing a regulatory framework for some of the more cutting edge areas, or certainly the most discussed areas in finance, which is around stable coins and tokenization. Can you just give us a high-level view of where Hong Kong is at the moment in that, and why it is embracing that so aggressively?
Thank you for mentioning this very important question. I guess I'm not in that position, but I'm just trying to give you my view about how Hong Kong government regulate these stable coins and in general we're talking about tokenization, right? So from the big picture, I feel that now the fintech is moving forward along two big directions. One is AI in finance, or for you guys, you're talking about AI in banking. And the other very important issue Hong Kong government is talking about is called tokenization. So the tokenization is tokenized assets based on the blockchain technology, right? So Hong Kong MA think that this will be the future for Hong Kong in finance. And of course, if you want to set up the whole system, the ecosystem, we need not only the technique probably is not that difficult. I think the key is the regulation, how we can regulate this market, right? How we can make this ecosystem functional very well. We need to maintain the financial stability. We need to have the investor protection, etc., right? So the Hong Kong government trying to protect the investors, trying to promote the stability of finance in Hong Kong. And we think the stable coin is the fundamental or infrastructure between the traditional finance and we call the digital finance, right? So we need to set up the link. I think this stable coin will play an important function to set up this bridge between the two lines of finance. So in that sense, the Hong Kong government trying to regulate the stable coin issuance and operations. So that's why we proposed the stable coin bill. And this bill, I think, proposed in more than 1 year ago. And now this process is to the end of the process. So we will have a legislation meeting next, I think, this month, and to pass the bill, right? So once the bill is passed, then the stable coin can be issued in Hong Kong. I feel that I'm 100% sure, and this bill will be passed. And now I think they are still in the sandbox. Okay, the issuers and also the practitioners are all in the sandbox. So they need to try whether this works well in sandbox first. After this month or after they pass the bill, and the issuers can issue stable coin, and then this can be applied in Hong Kong.
Okay.
So that's the way. There are a lot of details. I guess I don't have much time to.
No. I'm just conscious that I wanted to bring in the other panelists as well, just to, because that kind of, I think, opens up a conversation around cross-border, right? And you know, when we look at fintechs, when we look at regions, and Southeast Asia is not particularly different. Is people tend to look at the size of populations, they look at addressable markets, but actually the markets are built up of many different individual markets. So how do we remove some of the jurisdictional barriers and cross-border and build organizations that, you know, become GCC, become MENA, become global from from this region?
I do think that the it's not a one-size-fits-all. Unfortunately or fortunately, when it comes to finance, every country, especially in the region, every country has its own jurisdiction, its own rules. However, what is the same is user expectation. Today, the user expectation is set not necessarily by finance, it's set by their quick commerce, e-commerce, Netflix, shows. All their experiences across are setting what they're expecting from the financial institution, which means today, despite us having different regulation, you need to be able to serve the customers in the same way, and you need to maintain kind of this service level. So as a tech company, and I guess like as a fintech, yes, you build in a way that's scalable, you build in a way that you can replicate, but then you still are going to have the government relation, you're still going to have like the whole R&D, like there's a lot of things that are going to have to be customized for the country. Like KSA is very different from the UAE. Even on data privacy perspective, where you save your information. So, but I do think what you need to keep in mind as a fintech is what's your ultimate goal? And it's the why, it's the mission, right? Because also this is what will keep the talent going. What do you want to serve, right? For example, as Tarabut, what you're trying to serve is the underserved. How do you help the underserved? How do you open up, and you provide financing at the point where the customer is? And that simplifies it a little bit, because then you will see it's couple of points where, yes, you need to work around, but the product is the same, ultimately. And then your go-to-market strategy is very similar. It's like you have distributors, you have bank on the side, you need to attack, like on one side, you need to build a certain, so it's quite similar, but then you have this asterisk where you have to take in consideration rules and regulations. So.
Okay. Martina, Astra, how many jurisdictions are you in?
UAE, Philippines, we just acquired one company called Y Investment. I want to build on what Tatiana has just said, is that scaling globally might be really challenging when it comes to navigating diverse regulations, and what works for a region might not be enough or sufficient enough for another region. And for that, I think the key element or the key pillar that every single company should be dependent on is partner with trusted entities. Use their expertise, understand the local framework from them, and then scale from there. Don't go directly to a region that you don't know how the regulation works and then implement or replicate your solutions. At Astra, we do have we have this mindset. So in Egypt, we are partnered with Fawri. In Philippines, we acquired Y Investment. That gives us credibility when it comes to partnering with more than one partner in the same region. Apart from that, I think the understanding that the framework of regulations doesn't really have to be the same in every single jurisdiction.
And Amith?
I couldn't agree more. So I think if you talk about the fintech and banking collaboration, this is probably one of the biggest points in favor for that. So we're the only bank that's present in every GCC country. For us, this is a natural form for partnership. So we look for partners, especially on solutions that are country specific. Doesn't make sense for us to go and build something that doesn't fit across every region. So then we partner with the regions. We invite the local players to come and partner with us. Also from our point of view, so we've got the regulations covered. So if we are also very keen to take our local fintech partners to the region and to the globe, because from a regulation point of view, we've got it covered. What we would like then is to scale with them and partner with them. So honestly, from our point of view, a partnership makes a lot of sense, where we want to sort of navigate the local regulations and where we want to scale fast.
Okay, thank you. Right, so as we bring this panel to a close, I would ask if there's anything anybody would like to say to the audience, any takeaways in 15 or 20 seconds. Anything, Tatiana?
Can I say a few words? Because I don't have time, right? Just said cross-border things. Let me just emphasize. I think a fintech.
Stablecoins. Is that the answer?
Yeah. So should be set up the collaboration across borders, right? The government should work together and to make the fintech worldwide, rather than it's just local, right? That's my a key point. So for our university, we need to study more and to try to lobby the government to work together. Okay, thank you.
I will add to that, and I would say it's really the ecosystem coming together, and it's what Martina said before, right? It's now a collaboration. It's really like the fintechs coming, working with the banks, working with the regulator, and bringing at the end of the day the benefit to the customer. So.
Okay. Martina, anything?
Yes, I was actually reading in the morning that 3% of the adult population are underbanked and are almost 31% underserved. So I influence all the fintechs to start looking at this segment.
Interesting. And Amith, you've got 10 seconds.
Yeah, so from my point of view, it's all about how do we work together and how do we scale faster. So I think the collaboration and collaboration is the way forward.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much. Please give a round of applause to the panelists.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for your time.
Thank you.